Good evening, welcome back to the Student StarCraft AI tournament. The finals have started, and what better game to start the finals with than McRae versus Egbert. Had some recommendations, lots of people on the stream, so that was very good. And we are hopping right middle into the action. We've got a proxy barracks with a lot of SCVs, and the Marine is going in the wrong direction, so something with this proxy isn't entirely right. And, well, let's see what else will happen. We've got about 6 SCVs standing around here, 4 of them mining, and 1 more is going to join the party. Well, all the Marines are going to congregate here at the natural choke, and only now they're coming along. So that's very interesting. Scouting probe doesn't really see the SCV train, I think, but here it comes. And is there enough money for a bunker? No, there is not, but with this many SCVs there is a lot of firepower, and of course the gateways are ready, but the probes will have to come off the line, and perhaps they had be better advised to save themselves. But Marine is already doing a lot of damage, and 2 probes keep mining. That's very good, because once the SCVs peter out, one they'll die. Oh dear, the Marines have found the Nexus, which was a little bit aggressive, and the Goon is just walking straight by, is going to fire at least, and doesn't even kill a single Marine. That's pretty clumsy. And now there is a lot of mining time lost and not enough money for McRae. McRae has got a couple of workers on minerals, so will he have enough money for another unit? Meanwhile, the Marine flow is increasing, and right now we've got 1 Goon. And I'd say, oh, this micro is much better. So I think that it can do quite well, and it will start picking up Marines now, but it's pretty nearly dead. And dead again, so is there 1 more unit in the pipeline before more Marines will hit the scene? And Egbert is really committed to this 1 barracks thing, because there are so many workers sent over, and that can be very painful. I think that all the workers are now dead, and Egbert has taken the first game against McRae. Oh dear, what a pity. Small look at the production tab. No, nothing more is coming for McRae, so first game goes to Egbert. And next game up is Qbot. It's a new Zerg. I'm going to play Lucas Moravec, playing the blue Protoss in the top left corner. So before we get into the real action of this game, let me briefly describe the format of the tournament. We have got, I think, 72 bots, which are going to play 2 games against each other. So that means about 72, 71. Should have prepared that in advance, but that's about 4,971 games or something. And the scouting probe gets killed by the first one. So we've got these 72 bots in a round robin playing 2 games against each opponent, and after that the first 16 will enter the elimination bracket. As already communicated by Michael, I just call him Michael, that's much easier than me trying to pronounce his beautiful Slovakian name, but Michael has already said on Facebook that all the read and write files will be saved for the round of 16, and between the round robin and the round of 16 nothing else will happen. So once the round robin is done, the server will go black for a little bit, all the games will be played out, and then we'll make a couple of broadcasts of the elimination stages. So should be a lot fairer than last year, where the learning bots had a bit of an advantage, because after the round robin the server kept playing, and that gave the learning bots an advantage over those who did not. So first Qbot action is going to be with a lot of Zerglings, and now they're going to find a couple of Goons, and I think that might be good, especially if you consider how many Zerglings are coming up. And meanwhile the worker count is quite okay, and Qbot has got a lot of money, could have taken a natural, but I think with this host of Zerglings it can do pretty well. And Lucas should build some zealots really, because these goons, or this goon, isn't really up to snuff. And of course there are 2 gateways, but I can't really see this working for very much longer. And meanwhile Qbot expanding 2 times. Oh, already had this mineral only taken. And production tab wise, it might look like more Zerglings will come up. And Lucas Moravec, not daunted by the great force of Zerglings in its natural, is going for a shuttle, more goons and more technology, while well, +1 zealots would have been the key to this game. But then the Zerglings will find something very interesting in the bottom right of the map. And no, these power generators are not a threat, and then they all head back to base. So, or perhaps just to kill these this pair of goons, taking pot shots at the Overlord, and the Overlord's attacking once more. And meanwhile, Lucas is going for another pylon, and now it looks like, oh, we got an observer. So, always nice to have an observer. Now 2 zealots hit the scene, but by now there are a lot of zealots, Zerglings. And they're going after the pylons first, depowering all the buildings in record speed, and the zealots don't really dare to fight. So I think this game is going to Qbot, and Qbot is really building a lot of workers and a lot of Zerglings, so I don't think we're going to see what units it will make next. Hasn't taken the gas yet, and another drone is on the way. Oh god, we've got a shuttle and hope it's got a deadly payload, because by now the Protoss base is overrun. Nice prioritizing, all the high-tech buildings going first, and then the workers, and then it's just a melee. And where is that shuttle going? The shuttle's coming back, it's just scouting for the time being. Qbot taking another base, still no gas, got a lot of minerals in the bank, and is making a fat, large round of drones, and that was the game. So welcome Qbot, and that was pretty well done. So we've got another new bot, and well, not to have them out of the way, but I think it's very interesting to see the new bots and how they play. It's another Zerg, and it's not a 4-pool, so that's good. That always makes me very happy to see a new Zerg bot, and it doesn't go for the 4-pool, especially in the tournament final stages. That is, well, can be pretty dangerous. And it looks like Dolphin is going for a little bit of a quicker pool than is Shija, Shu, and the bot's called Overkill, of course. Took 3rd place CRG last year, and now is going for a quick turret, I think, yes, but the first Zerglings are there already, but the first defending Zerglings for Overkill are there as well. So I think Overkill is in a good position, although Dolphin has got more Zerglings at this point, with a Sunken and still 6 Zerglings. I think that Overkill is quite alright and has got the gas running. So now, Dolphin, what are you going to do? Going for some drones, hasn't got a natural, trying to go for the Sunken, and the Sunken will fall! Oh, just will fall, and it appears there is no worker defense, so this can be very... Oh, there is the worker defense, and I think that Overkill just helped that beautifully. And now Dolphin has got a lot of money, is going for the natural, but I think it's going to be a tiny little bit late, because Overkill's already started the lair and is now out on the map with 4 Zerglings of its own, while there is only 1 Zergling trying to defend, and it doesn't want to get entangled with these Zerglings of Overkill. Now, the Sunkens are being thrown up in haste, but I think if your technology is lagging this far, is there a Sunken for Overkill? No, there isn't, but Sunken has got 8 more workers. And oh dear, killing the worker defense is not optimal, but only losing 1 worker. And now I think that Dolphin can hide a while behind its 3 Sunkens, but the real problem is that the Spire will be nearly done, and there is a lot of money in the bank for Overkill, and you can see immediately all of it's been spent. And I think that with the first mutas out, it won't really matter too much what Dolphin is going to do. Dolphin is trying to rush to something. Oh, this is a lair, and that's not an Evo chamber. Evo chamber, perhaps this is one, but here come the mutas, and if this is an Evo chamber, it's really a little bit late. And now there are 3 or 4 mutas among the workers, and I really can't see this going anywhere for Dolphin Bot. Nice bit of pressure in the early game, but this Evo chamber is a little bit late, and if you do spot the Spire, which his Overlord has done, it would be much wiser to just make spores immediately and not after a little while. So, Dolphin Bot, welcome to the show, hope you do well, and Overkill is 1 game ahead of you right now. So, without further ado, that was the new stuff really, and I'd like to show you the rankings right now. I should refresh that. You've got, you can sort them by win rate, and of course there are a lot of bots with 100% win rate, but the number of wins is also quite indicative of a bot's performance, because if you only got one game, it's not really that much of a feat to be at 100% win rate. Ice Labs is doing 10-1, Thomas Weider's Simp is 9-1, and Iron is 7-0, and Marion Devecker's Killerbot is 6-1, Proxy doing very well, nice update, and Egbert still doing okay, Banana Brain doing okay, Simplicity, well, you can see the middle of the pack. So, Samsung Seda is 4-1, that's good. And if you are wondering where the major contenders are, Cherry Pie isn't there, and Krasimir retracted his Terran bot and fielded a Protoss bot and pulls it and half-assed Cannon Rush bot for the lulz. So we'll see how well it does. Of course, we've got games of that. And well, without making too much of a suspense arc for that, let's see what Seda, the Samsung bot, is going to do versus Crazy Protoss. Of course, we would have liked to see... oh dear, I just did that wrong, didn't... Ah, sorry. Messed that up. And okay, finally, I can scroll again. So, Crazio versus Seda. And we would like to have seen the Terran Crazio and the reasons for not playing that. Oh dear, what's this? Some kind of shenanigans happening. The SCV did scout it and is now trying to come and kill it. And I think that first cannon might just complete in the nick of time. Now with two cannons, I think Crazio Protoss is rather safe. And workers are falling for Seda, so that's not really going well for the Terran. And what's the Terran going to do? Should go for a tank, because with the siege tank you can stop this kind of thing in its tracks. Would have worked too, because the cannon rush is still far outside of the base and Crazy is not really making a lot of headway with this very meticulously planned approach with the cannons. And meanwhile, I think all the workers are dead. So yeah, there we go. We would have liked to have seen the Terran, but the Protoss is pretty nifty as well, and has got a follow-up to the cannon rush, so that should be okay. Question is, can Crazio make it up the ramp? Doesn't really matter at this point, because it wins on score, having killed all of the units save this SCV for Seda. Now Crazio, having walled in the main base with cannons, is going for some more tech. Not really interested in making it up the ramp. Oh yes, there it goes. And still making a pretty safe cannon. And there you go, third taken. Lots of buildings stacked, lots of technology as well. I don't know, no army at all. There's just 4 army supply of 2 goons, but of course they can't get into the base because they're all cannons in the way. So didn't really think that through. Of course the probe can move between the cannons because it's much smaller. And now it's going to bugger off. Oh, and the DTs are in there, which are small units as well and can fit through the buildings and will clean up the base. So basically cannon rush into a hell of a lot of buildings, and judging by the fleet beacon this might even be carriers, but I think that the DTs will have finished this refinery by then. So a good game. And oh god, indeed, that's carriers for you. That looks to be the game that Crazio is going to play, and why not? It may be effective, but I think it will not be so until the later stages of the tournament. Round of 16 might just be in reach with if you execute it well. But then again, there are a lot of good players there who can deal with that kind of stuff, so yeah, I don't know if the Terran bot would not have performed better, but of course that's up to Krasimir to say what bot he'd like to play. So next game up, it's Ironbot versus Martin Royker's leaderbot. Martin has been, he told me, a little bit sick, so hadn't really had the time to work on his Brood War bot, also working on StarCraft 2. But yeah, it's his Terran bot's still pretty good. And let's see what it's going to do. Both players starting out on a 1 base. and Iron going for 2 factories, relatively few units, and Litterbot is going for 2 factories as well, being a little bit later. That's strange. And Ironbot is now going to take to the map with a handful of vultures, and of course you can't get by 3 vultures on the high ground. It does escape with its life, and that's about all it's got in its life. And now Ironbot is going to tech up. What's it making? It's making spider mines for some map control, I suppose. Worker-wise, Ironbot 2 ahead of Litterbot. Litterbot still making more though, so I think that's okay. Litterbot playing it a little bit cautious, going to town on Iron with a couple of was going to visit, not really any town going yet, is going to visit Ironbot with a couple of Goliaths, and of course if you are playing pure Vulture, Goliaths are a pretty good counter to that, and especially the Wraith doesn't really like all that anti-air damage. And now Litterbot has got Iron in a corner. Now with the high ground, I think that Ironbot can do quite well. The Goliaths are dead. Oh, here come 2 more, so the Wraith is still somewhat effective. But without tanks, I think it's really hard to stop this kind of a push. Especially the Goliaths are doing a lot of damage to the Vultures, as we can see here. They are barely taking any damage at all, but for the mines! Oh god, boom, there you go. So, Goliaths over mine, over Vultures, and Vulture mines over Goliaths, with a couple of Marines to help out. I think that Iron has got this thing well under control. The worker count for Iron is a little bit higher than for Litterbot. Litterbot, what are you doing? Looks like a lot of Vultures, while Iron is cooking up the first tanks, and I think with a couple of siege tanks and supporting units, even if they be SCVs, you're in a pretty okay position to dominate the map. And the Wraith still alive, so that's pretty good. Repair going on by the SCVs, and the tank just doing way too much damage. Litterbot hasn't got a natural yet, is still building Goliaths and Vultures, which may not be the ideal tactic. The Wraith being repaired, so with a Wraith and 2 tanks, oh, and 2 more tanks on the high ground, so Ironbot is as happy as a clam in a shell. Litterbot with its, well, I'd say aggressive but a little bit outdated strategy, can't make anything work against the monster Terran, and Ironbot really has not got a natural yet. Same goes for Litterbot, but Ironbot has got this way better position. It's got the worker lead, it's got the army lead, not in supply, but in supply combat value. These tanks are really pretty good, especially with the SCVs repairing them, and of course with the mines. You can see this only going one way. And Ironbot really ought to just sit back, take a natural, and get things done with that. Now the Vultures are on the warpath, and for Iron they've got speed, mines, and of course siege mode is there as well. So Iron is really kicking ass at this point, moving some more tanks down to the low ground, still not taking a natural, I don't know why, building a lot of turrets, and that can be dangerous because in the end these turrets will not increase your combat value if there is no enemy air unit. So that's 5 turrets, 6 turrets already, 7, 8, 9, so that's 750 minerals down the tube for basically nothing. No, that's not the main new next command center, but still Ironbot with his slow push is going to encroach upon Litterbot. Litterbot slowly mining out the main. Same can be said for Ironbot though, and Ironbot still, oh here we go, taking the natural. So how this game is going to end is a foregone conclusion. Litterbot sticking to the Goliath Vulture thing, while now the natural for Iron is online, and Iron has got, of course, 2 base income and now depopulated the Terran base. So that's pretty good. Still, this game is lasting a long time, and I wonder why. Oh, it's because of the floating barracks, and the Wraiths don't really want to attack it, although Ironbot is... no, it's not maxed, it's sort of stalled, but will win the game on points. So, not for the kill, but enough for the victory. Ironbot beats Alita. GG. Then, next game up, it's the Ironbot clone, Hao Pan versus Thomas Weider's Ximp, and Ximp is still there. Last major update in 2013, and it's still going very strong. And for those of you who are not familiar with XIM, the bot's called XIM, the author is called Thomas Weider, who don't know it yet, let me just show you what is going to happen, because it's a very fast expansion with a forged couple of cannons. Worker transfer is already there. Quick StarCraft and another one, and Haupan is going for a vulture. Oh yes, now with the siege tank, which may do a lot of damage. That's good. As you can see, these vultures and Goliaths can't get too much done. This tank, though, should keep these tanks should keep their nose to the grindstone and kill turrets, because if they don't, there is a danger lurking in the wings, and that danger is called Mr. Carrier, and there is only one Stargate. 3 Stargates are flashing now. A lot of money is being spent in trying to repair the cannon line. Of course, it won't work versus 2 siege tanks. Haupan has got the natural up and running meanwhile and is enforcing its contain. But here comes the first carrier, and it can't get too much done because there is a fair number of Goliaths already. Let me see how many. That's quite enough. So yeah, there you go. With the ground army, I think that Sim can defend the main for a little bit, especially if all the Goliaths die. That would be a waste of units. And there are 4 carriers. The workers are still mining, although the main is getting low. I think that these carriers will clean up the base eventually. Yes, there we go. And now they'll also try to break the contain, or the the occupation rather, of the natural. And once all the Goliaths are dead, and they're being filtered in 3 or 4 at a time, which is good, but it's not really enough versus a cloud of hungry carriers. And if I'm not very much mistaken, more should be on the way, but Ximp really needs to take control of the natural, build a nexus and start mining from there again, because otherwise it's going to be an easy game for Iron, because Ximp will mine out. And now more carriers will be on the way. That's good. You can see the Stargates flashing, and although the main is mining out with 2 control groups of 4 carriers, you can do a lot of damage versus a Terran which is not hell-bent on stopping that with some concerted Goliath efforts. You can still see all the Goliaths being filtered in one at a time, dying one at a time. And now we've got quite a number of carriers in the air, and the Goliaths have some rough going. The main is mining out for Haupan as well. And the danger is, or might be, if Haupan is going to mine out, it cannot keep up the Goliath thing. And by now there are a lot of carriers in the air. That's really something. And of course, oh, there is a small ground army. The main is mining out. Sim needs that natural to be able to sustain its presence in the game. The Goliaths, though, they can't really get too much done. They're trying to go after the hulks of the carriers. But they are pretty tough, and of course their shields will regenerate. Let's look at the upgrades. Upgrades for Terran do not include armor, do include weapons, so this Goliath thing is doing a lot of damage to the carriers, but still you are going to need a lot of money. New base started for for Haupan, not Ironbot, I shouldn't say that. It's definitely based on Iron, but it's not the same. And I think that now with the main being out, let's look at the count of interceptors. We've got 69. And let's see how Haupan can beat that 71. Lots of interceptors, 70. So occasionally there is a dead interceptor. And I don't really think that these carriers can get too much done. No long distance mining either. And Thomas Weider hasn't got a unit in the world now. Only 56 interceptors left. And although still doing a lot of damage, in the end it will not be able to prevail with the carrier thing, because there is just not enough money. And Haupan has got the map. And losing a lot of the lights though. Now 48. Haupan targeting the carriers. The carriers must be getting pretty low by now. Although they are killing a lot of units, I think in the end Haupan will win this. 48 interceptors still, that means 6 carriers with a full complement. But you can see the pressure being put on them. Now, Halpan, let's look at the upgrades, is getting some +1 armor as well. And the game will just be stacked further and further in the favor of Halpan. Now only 5 carriers left, and the Goliath count is mounting. 5 carriers, more interceptors dropping, and Halpan is just going to complete this game with an endless stream of Goliaths and turrets, lots of turrets as well. I don't know where they all are, but they are there, they are being built. Let's look at the new expansion. No, it's not here. But we can see that there are only 3 carriers left and 18 interceptors is all. The ground army is entering the base, so while Xim fought a good fight, in the end it's the macro of Halpan doing it in. And now there are only 2 carriers left. There is only 1 left, 1 interceptor, and what can it do versus a host of Goliaths surpassing, or not surpassing at this moment. There are just 30, and that's quite enough. So that's the good game. Xim took well, but Halpan is doing good as well. So I thought, well, let's have a look at the bot and on top of the ladder at this point. With 10-1 is Ice Labs going to play Lucas Moravec. I'll close the display for a little bit so you can enjoy the game in its fullest. And of course the most beautiful high-definition Brood War replay viewer has been made by M42 and TSMU. And you can, it's called OpenBW. So you just visit it and you can load replay files. It is very, very beautiful. You can speed it up to 1024 times normal speed, and it's very nifty. So Ice Labs with the bunker being a little bit unwise, because fighting in your bunker would have been preferable to fighting this small army outside on the bridges. But now with the tank on the high ground, it's doing quite well. And I think that Ice has got 2 brethren, in the sense that Seda and Crazio Terran will use high ground to their advantage as well. But Ice started it, and until I think 4 months ago was the only bot actually doing that. So that's pretty good. And this depot may be lost. Lots of damage being done by the goons, and Lucas is staying on 1 base. I don't know how wise that is, because Ice has got 2, will have more tanks, and once the tanks move down the ramp, these goons at the bridges won't have a shadow of a chance. Here comes the Nexus for Lucas, and Lucas, well, doing what it should do, but here comes the first tank on the low ground, under the cover of the tanks on the high ground. It's a little bit exposed, I don't know why that is. Oh, now it's moving back. I presume it wanted to park somewhere around here, but couldn't make it through that gap, if that is gap at all. This is an interesting dance. Scouting Vulture not firing on the firing at the High Templar. So Ice. Oh dear, we've got Dark Templar, and what are they doing? We've got a comsat building. But the Dark Templar are doing a lot of damage. The comsat in the main is not yet done, so lots of work is lost. Ice on, well, it used to be on 50, now at only 32. Scan going off, and the tanks, they nip the Dark Templar thing in the bud. Might do with the turret though, so yes, here comes the turrets in the main, and should build a turret in the natural as well, so to be pretty safe. And Ice demolishing its own wall by killing the depot, not realizing that if it as it had lifted the barracks, the passage was free anyway. So good. Lucas going for a lot of forces, but really will need a concerted game plan to face the tanks. The tanks have moved down the low ground, and with all the vultures and the mines, that can be pretty... Yes, that's a Zealot bomb, but Ice is not deterred, just unsieges and kills the Zealots. That's how it's done. And Lucas killing the Expeditionary Force, that's good though. And killing a couple of tanks, which may be good as well, and should just capitalize on its advantage in map control to take more bases. Is not doing so. And meanwhile, Ice on 2 bases has got quite a number of tanks, and these tanks, even in small numbers, they are really dishing out the damage. You can see the amount of blue soup and this Protoss army is not really committed to anything. It's just wavering in range of the tanks and sustaining a lot of fire from these siege tanks. Ice will need a third base soon too, because otherwise it's just going to mine out. And although its army will be better than the Protoss, it will also need some units for attacking. And these tanks just kill Protoss units because they can't really analyze. Oh, that's good. A couple of drops and then move in with the rest of your forces. But these tanks are pretty good. And although Lucas, Lucas is killing a fair amount of them, and I would say with a third or a fourth Nexus, Lucas would have had a much better fight. But with a 2 versus 2 base, you can see where this is going. Ice more than doubling the supply, has got a higher work count. Ooh, Ice really ought to be careful with all these mines, but then again, yeah, there you go. Ice, will it go for another command center? Perhaps this SCV is... Oh, there is no money at this point, so that's silly, but looks like it wants to go for the mineral only. Oh, and this base has been established. Totally missed that, sorry. And another mine. Oh, that would have been glorious, but then again, the Vultures and the Goliath, they kill it just in time. No friendly fire from the siege tanks, no mine hits to blow them up. And Lucas is going for, I think, a bit of defense, because Ice will be coming. And this lumbering mass of siege tanks is just not to be trifled with at all. Ice doing its thing, has been doing its thing for years and years. Last update in 2013 as well. But you can see what a moloch of a Terran it is, with the siege tank locking everything down. And now on the warpath, Lucas has taken the mineral only, but it's a little bit late. Ice is all over the map and has got a 110 army supply rolling straight into the natural. And once this massive tank starts rolling, there is really nothing you can do about that, especially not if you have got zero army supply. So that was the game. Ice taking out Lucas, a much younger bot, and well, congratulations to that. Let's hope you make it into the round of 16, and let's see how you're going to fare there. And one of the other players which is doing well is Microwave. Microwave is versus B-Reaver, the Protoss, Small Peak, Where's Microwave? Microwave is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in 10th place, and B-Reaver is just below that. So that's pretty cool actually. Microwave dropped 3 games, but B-Reaver still hasn't. Let's see the outcome of this game because of that. It's a nice long game which you can't see because of the overlay, but it is what should be pretty evenly matched game. So Microwave going for the fast expand, then a pull, and B-Reaver going for 1 gate gas, looking to go into some kind of a goon first thing, or forge fast expand would be wiser against Zerg, I think. Zealot and Zerglings, they'll meet. The Zealot kills 1, kills 2, and gets out alive. That's pretty well done, but now dies as well, so mineral-wise that's okay. And the Zealot trying to out-micro the Zerglings, not really working. And Microwave not really pursuing all that hard. And I think... Oh, the drone just started. I thought that the probe started that fight and was therefore at an advantage, but obviously that wasn't true in the end. All the drones micro was just better. And B-Reaver going to do a lot of 1 base. Has got Cybercore, 2 gateways, 1 Stargate, only... Oh, that's another gateway. This is going to be a Robo base. So killing the Observer, that's good. Microwave going for... well, it looks like some kind of a lurker play. With some static defense just for the love of the game. And this must be Corsair with a shuttle going into drop play as well and taking a quick expansion. That's good. Here comes the Corsair. So I think with the Corsair you are doing well. Then again, Microwave is sort of prepared, has got 2 spores at every base, and is now attacking with a handful of lurkers. And there is... Oh, the observatory just finished, so that's good. And fighting with lurkers can be pretty hard. Oh, and there is a... Oh, that's a lot of damage. That's a hell of a lot of damage. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. That's not good at all for Zerg. And then they forget about the shuttle with the Reaver in it. You can see this army is moving out once it no longer sees the shuttle with the Reaver. Oh, and so many workers are being killed. It's unreal. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. It's only one Hydra. Just unload it once more, kill the Hydra, and be on your way. Oh, lots of workers killed. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This Reaver is really doing the numbers. And although the spores protect the Zerg from the Corsairs, that Reaver is completely tearing this game apart, doing so much damage. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And the natural is up for Protoss. A new army is prepping. And without air units, I don't think you can really do too much about the shuttle and the Reaver. Hydra is now coming to split at it. That's always a good idea. But then again, you really ought not to forget about this Reaver thing. It's completely imber and has killed any number of lurkers, Hydra's workers, done a lot of damage to the buildings as well. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. This Reaver is really measuring out the grave bed for Microwave. Microwave trying to do what it can, but it keeps forgetting about the Reaver. Now you see the shuttle and the fighting units are just buggering off. The static defenses are okay, but here comes the Protoss army, and I think it's going to break straight through these few Sunkens, especially with the Reaver in the rear, doing a lot of damage again to the workers, to the lurkers, and to the building. All the Reavers are stacked as well. That's not good at all. The Reaver going for the mineral only and the third at the same time, meanwhile ferrying over units for the contain. Microwave under a lot of pressure, and I don't feel it's going to get out of it alive. Or the shuttle might just take a couple of too many spore hits. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Here comes the Protoss army with the storm on the Reavers, only one Sunken left. And still the shuttle with the Reaver. The shuttle's getting itself pretty much damaged, killed eventually by the spores, but now penultimate spore is dead and 3 more Reavers are coming up to help to kill, and that was the game. Beautiful game by the Reaver, and Microwave unfortunately did not win that. So I have got one more game. It is Killerbot versus Egbert. Egbert, the Terran player, and Killerbot is the Zerg. Won second place last year with a beautiful ZVZ series. Really knocked everyone about and lost 4-3 in the finals to Cherry Pie. Cherry Pie got retracted, I do not know why. That's very unfortunate because it would really have been one of the contenders, of course, as last year's winner. We would have loved to have it, but unfortunately it got disabled by the authors, and that's very unfortunate. So let's look at the game plan. We've got a sort of quick expansion with a Sunken. Still the scouting SCV does get in, sees the lair, and one more Sunken in the main. Very unusual, but still rather effective. And Egbert is going to make a lot of Marines of one base with an academy, of course. Might be a little bit late, but then again, what do you know? I think this is going to be the Spire. Lots of money in the bank. Ready for 6 muters. Killerbot is, and of course it's called Killerbot, and author is Marian Diveka. So there we go. Here come the muters in force in the mineral line, and it takes a while for the Marines to arrive, and you can see the damage being done. Now the muters ought to take their leave, because I think with Stim and medics this muter thing can't really work against so many Marines. And they make their exit gracefully, killing a worker, and could take their distance a little bit more. Third base started though for Killerbot. And Egbert lost quite a bit, but still has got the way superior army, and if it would just move over its forces to the Zerg base, it would be okay. Zerg pretty low on drones, trying to harass a little bit more, but the muter cloud is just not there. It's not there, and Killer is going... Oh, that's cloud of 1, basically. Killer is going for a total of 0 army units. This Terran force should just move now, and I think there it goes. The medics are a little bit hesitant, but the Terran is sort of moving out. Its movement is not as fluid as it might have been. And, ooh, Killabot is going for the lurker follow-up. There is a full scanner, but with, I think with the Sunkens, if these lurkers pop now, it might just work. But here comes the Terran. And there is one lurker, two lurkers, a lot of lurkers, lurkers on the high ground. Might just work, only one Sunken left. This lurker, these two lurkers need to get down to battle all at once. And I think that Killabot, just by the skin of its teeth, held. The third base is up, but the worker count's pretty low. And Egbert has started its natural. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. The scans are out, the scans are out. And the units are stimming and running in on top of the lurker. That cannot be good. The natural finishes though. And now the oh, more lurkers arrive. So Killabot in a dominant position. And this really was the follow-up to the muta thing we have all been waiting for. It is very, oh, this is very clumsy, but still a decent amount of damage being done. And still drawing scans for these two lurkers up here. And right now the mutas are back, while the Terran army count is down to almost 0. There are some Marines up here in the bunker. They should just stay there. And I think that the switch back into mutas is pretty good. Worker count might be a little bit higher, but who is to argue with a beautiful 2-hatch muta into lurkers, back into muta, and the only thing that Egbert can do at this point is stand and watch. This bunker, 2 Marines in the bunker might just kill, 1 Marine in the bunker might just kill the lurker, but the bunker is now in the red, and of course there are the mutas out there. The muta cloud is growing rapidly. Worker count still pretty low, and I think that might be an issue versus stronger opponents, but for now this Zerg build is pretty good, and that was the best bio playing Terran in the early stages, having to contend with the mutas, and the mutas did not do as much damage as a human player could have made them do, but in AI this is the best muta play there is at this moment, period. And of course they're going to mock me by just sitting around on top of a ruined Terran base, and still the worker count's not all there. Upgrade wise, there are no upgrades for mutas, but still only mutas and overlords. That is going to be enough for the game, so GG. And now we have another Zerg. It's called Simplicity. Amazed us all with beautiful drops. Not just to harass, but really about 20 army supply right in the middle of the enemy main. That was really something a couple of months ago. And we had a major we had at least an update for the finals, so let's see what it's going to do. Going for a lot of minerals and for a quick natural. Oh god, it's crazy. Protoss again with I think the cannon rush. And the first cannon, let's build as far in the rear, and the other one a little bit in front. I think with a couple of Sunkens you might do okay, but you've still got to build them. Crazier has got 4 cannons ready already. And here comes the Sunken. Will it be in time and in range? I think it will be, yes, it will be beautifully placed. And now the Zergans pick up on the cannons, and Simplicity is building another Sunken. Of course the Sunken range is greater than that of the cannons. So yes, I think that Simplicity has held the cannon rush. But you all saw what came behind this, and that was a DT play with carriers after, and that's still going to be pretty hard to hold for Zerg on 2 bases, because you are going to have to break this contain, and with up to layer units that's very hard, and in any event it's very costly. Crazio, you can see, is no longer investing in this contain, and Simplicity has got 20 workers, but we're all here at the main base, so the income is not all that great. Going for more technology, some units. And Crazio is going for a lot of probes. You can see nearly doubling the Zerg at this point. 3 gateways, and this must be the Citadel. Citadel here, and the next one must be the Templar Archives. So, yeah, Simplicity bleeding units just trying to make its way out over there. It has got Overlord speed, it has got Lurkers, but oh, it might just break out with one fell push. And is now losing units once again. That is silly. It had nearly taken control of the natural choke again. Has moved some workers down. That's good. Has got quite a bit of force, but should just commit and Oh, now the Dark Templars arrive. Simplicity does commit, killing the cannons, killing the forces of Protoss. Crazio being put on the back foot, I feel. Still doing a lot of damage with the DTs, but I think with Lurkers, now Simplicity has got access to the rest of the map and might just take... Oh dear, this is going to be rather costly. And still the container's not completely broken. 4 DTs, lots of damage in there. Worker count for Simplicity a little bit higher, but didn't manage to sneak out a worker. And now... yeah, there is no detection, so this attack on the Lurker field is not going as planned for Crazy or Protoss. Crazy though has got the worker lead, has got the army lead, has got the tech lead, and is now taking a mineral only as well. So that's pretty good. Drone does not really, oh, it does get out for the time being, but has got 3 Dark Templars on its tail, and I can only assume that it's not going even to be able to plant down a hatchery. Very unfortunate. Some Lings are moving out with an Overlord for scanning, of course. Oh, the cannon falls, might kill this pylon as well, just do a little bit more map control-ish things. And I really like this Overlord speed upgrade. Yes, and here come the Dark Templars. They do get in a little bit too far, but by now the first carrier's ready already. The first 3 carriers are ready. And upgrade-wise, Crazio has got the Interceptor upgrade. And is building a lot more carriers. Wow, that's very impressive. Still wasting units at the Lurker thing because there is still no detection. I think that Simplicity is in okay shape, and Crazio ought to be careful not to get dropped or anything. And the first carriers are now hitting the scene, while the Lurkers do an amazing amount of damage to the gateway units of Crazio. They unburrow and burrow a little bit too much for my taste and get killed. Meanwhile, Simplicity has got a fair number of Hydras. Should morph them in Lurkers, all of them, but can hold off the carriers for a little bit with that. And you can see that the Interceptors fall rather rapidly to these Hydras. Have they got good upgrades? They've got range and they've got speed, and they've got the +1s just started. They've got the +1 armor. And you can see in tight formations, carriers can't do really a lot versus a pack of angry Hydras. They might kill the occasional Hydra, but then again, a lot of Interceptors are going to die. Now even with a Spore, I think Simplicity is in an okay position. Even finding the new Ninja expansion by Crazio and tearing it down, Crazio cancels it, and of course a new base for Simplicity. Simplicity is going to need Hydras, and I think Hydras it is going to build. So lots of Hydras coming up, and Crazio, what's Crazio building? Crazio building a lot of carriers, Interceptors. It's just going to commit hardcore to this carrier strategy follow-up. Meanwhile taking a lot of bases all over the map. Simplicity only on 3 base. Main base must be getting low with this number of workers, and yes, it is actually. The Lurkers have found this Nexus, doing a lot of damage. 2 more Lurkers, and it's a good thing that Crazio has. Crazio got an Observer anywhere. No, simply not building observers this game. Tearing down another base, and this base over here as well. Were these 2 Lurkers dropped? I don't know, going to find out. We were just over here. Here we go with the Overlord. Oh yes, that's very neatly done. And Crazy is sending some reinforcements, but it's not really going to work. Meanwhile, the Hydra count is growing, and growing fast. There is a Dark Templar trying to do damage, but with these Overlords and Tau, these Hydras are not going to take any shit from one Dark Templar, and are just chasing the goons and the carriers in front of them. A large swath of Hydras is going to be here. As there are 2 more carriers, and this base is going to fall, so Crazio is going to be in a bit of trouble because it's just losing bases, which it can sort of afford. Oh, this one still lives. That's pretty gnarly. And it's a good thing for Crazio that these Lurkers are so badly microed, otherwise it might really pose a problem. Crazio's carrier fleet though is growing. That's good. It's got 12 carriers versus 44 Hydras. And Simplicity will have to take more bases to make that Hydra thing really shine. Now a somewhat larger engagement with Dark Templars, Goons and Carriers is coming up. And you don't always see it this often, but I think that once the Hydras get moving and have some space to maneuver, the Carriers are doing a lot of damage though, but the Goons are just falling way too quickly. And it's just a matter of positioning and who gets to retire first. Crazio. Oh, that's a lot of Scourge! I hope they're going to be cloned well, because otherwise it's just going to be horribly expensive. Crazio is maxed, and Crazy was building a lot of interceptors at the time. But I think Simplicity is a 115 supply, so you've got to keep an eye on that, and giving away the position of its new base. A carrier will pick up on it and probably find it. Now being chased back by this one Hydra, and more Hydras are in tow, so that's okay. Now killing some workers, but some Hydras are arriving as well, and oh, the Scourge are not split at all, just going to suicide en masse on one carrier. And this game has gotten well out of control. Crazy has got a lot of bases, lots of income, lots of money, and Simplicity is just going to fight for its life with all the Hydras it can muster. So this base up and mining, that's good, because Simplicity with 2 gases, only 2 gases, should mine gas here as well. Really needs the gas for the Hydras. You can see it over here, lots of minerals, but not enough gas for more Hydras. And this carrier doing pretty well versus 2 Hydras, and this one is getting caught. Yes, looks like. And Crazy, of course, has got all the money in the world, so it can instantly rebuild. Its entire army consists of carriers, 15 of them. And it doesn't really matter that 1 or 2 get killed every once in a while. The Hydra count, though, is growing, where Simplicity had 115 army supply, has now got 140. So the carriers can't really get too much done anymore. Simplicity will need more bases, though, and will need to keep checking Crazio's expansion, because Crazio is all over this. Has got nearly every base in the world, just taking this one again. And Simplicity really needs to make sure it's got enough money, and microing an army like that of 100 Hydras, how many are there? Oh, not 100, 84, can be quite difficult. There are some Scourge, but they're not really cloned all that well, and Crazio now is losing a lot of carriers, is rebuilding them as we speak, and a lot of interceptors as well. But still, I think that Simplicity has not won this game yet. 150 army supply, and is now reaching one of Crazio's bases. The carriers can't really protect them, they haven't got a lot of staying power, and they're getting pretty low as well. So I think Simplicity doing well for itself, and taking another base. There you go, that's the ticket to beating a carry strategy like that. Even bringing a Lurker to the attack, and now is going to kill a lot of pilots. Crazio is not supply blocked, has got a lot of, is supply blocked now, has got a lot of pylons, but cannot afford to lose its production, and that's exactly what's happening at this point, trying to rebuild it in its own main. I don't think that's the wisest choice. Simplicity is slowly increasing in supply, taking out bases one by one, just building a hatchery right next to it. Hydras are everywhere. There are 77 workers, the rest of its army isn't Hydras, and that must be about 65. So the Hydra numbers are going down a little bit as well, but with the decline of Crazio's carrier force, I think that Simplicity is doing okay. Worker count really exploding at this point. And this base will be operational soon too. This base just got completed, and I think that Simplicity transferring a lot of workers. Let's look at the upgrades. We haven't got too many upgrades really. We have got the +1 range and the speed, but no further upgrades for the Hydras. I think that's rather silly. And Crazio somehow regains control of its main with a large number of carriers. Hello. And Crazio has got so many resources that it can just afford to build any number of interceptors. Meanwhile, the Hydra crowd is growing linearly. Not really exponentially. Crazio going to lose another base. Simplicity is throwing the entire force of Hydras against it, and is just going to take this base by putting a hatchery right next to it. Crazio is getting out of gas, not really rebuilding its main base. And although there are carriers about, there are just way too many Scourge and Hydra about to really make a dent into the Zerg armor at this point. And more spores are going to be built. Ooh! Whoa! How many Scourge are there? That's really 45. Okay. Well, there are some carriers over here, of course the Scourge on there to help them deal with that. But Simplicity is really now taking all the base on the map, just posting the hatchery right next to them. And Crazio is going to be shifted out of its last base if it's not very careful. This base is under attack by a lot of Hydras and Scourge, of course. How many Scourge have we got? We've got 55 Scourge, 52 Hydras, and 6 more carriers. The carriers, that was beautifully done. Worker distribution could be a little bit better for Simplicity, but I think that the game is won. I'm just going to let it end. And this is just completely nonsense. The Hydra crowd is being moved across the map for no good reason really. Is going to clean up these last two buildings. Will they find the pylon? Yes. Will they find this base over here? Oh, Crazio's rebuilding, so might have a chance at this. And you can see the Lord of Scourge doing its thing, building upgrades. Now all the Hydras get to be max upgraded. Oh, and the Hydras have found his base over here, and the reserve is just sitting over there. So Crazio losing to Simplicity. That's the good game. And to close off today, we have got one more game. It's called Killabot versus Banana Brain. Killabot, of course, going to play the yellow Zerg. Well, not really, of course, it's going to be yellow, but as Zerg. As yellow in the top right corner, and at the bottom left we've got Banana Brain as the Protoss. And the Protoss is going to have to face some stiff competition this game because Killabot is pretty good. And we saw it play Zerg versus Terran with a 2-hash muta opening into lurkers, back into mutas, completely tore apart Egbert. And although Banana Brain is a fair lot stronger than Egbert, it will still have to work it out for it. And that is a nice city by Killabot. Killabot sort of sniffed with the Overlord that there is a small number of zealots about, and I think that it's going to see the Cyber Core as well, and then it will know that there will be goons. So now some Zerglings are going to hit the map. Work count for Killabot pretty low, only 2 hatches. I don't know, yes, that's going to be, oh, that's the 3rd hatch. Not really in the right position, not covered by these Sunkens, especially not if they're going to be goons. But the Overlord sees everything, and now let's see how good the adaptive gameplay of this new and updated Killabot actually is. 5 Zerglings make it back home. The Zealots will probably not get too much done versus 2 Sunkens and a handful of Zerglings. So the opening stages are going to go to Killabot. That said, the worker count for Banana Brain is better. Killabot is not really up to show. You could have easily killed that, but the Zealot wants to suicide anyway, so that's not going to work. And instead of going for Mutas first, I think the opening versus Protoss is going to be Lurkers and Hydras. So Banana Brain going for the expansion, no goons yet, and is going for some Corsairs, looks like. So no other tech, has to be Corsair unless it's a Scout, but it's a Corsair. And now I think that Killabot will feel a little bit of pressure, because although there are a couple of Hydras, there aren't all that many, and it will need some to be able to protect its Overlords, which haven't got speed, and it can be rather costly. We saw Simplicity building a couple of Spores earlier, which was good, but now these Corsairs, they can cliff this base, and Killabot just hasn't got the resources to do anything about that. Is supply block, and here come the Mutas, and that's really a weird opening. Going into Hydras, build only 2, and then go into Mutas without any Spores. That's just wacky. But let's see what these Mutas can get done. Versus a solitary Corsair, they can do quite a lot. They've just got to be careful not to take on too many units and defensive structures at once. Doing a lot of damage to the goons. You can see the goons taking a lot of damage, but Killabot needs to kill. Here come 2 more Corsairs. The goons are dead, but versus these Corsairs, these clump Mutas take a hell of a lot of damage, and you really ought to have an unstack feature, because this is going to be painful. 3rd base up though for Killabot. And you should not kill this. I don't know if it was actually after the Zealot. You should uncluster. This is 5 times, I think, 3 damage. That's just way too painful. You've got to keep those numbers down, and this is just massacre. The Mutas haven't got shit on these Corsairs. You can see that here, they just sort of evaporate every time a small whisper of a Corsair blast hits your speakers. It's just not fair, and all the Mutas are dead. Now the Zealot thing is out on the map. Killabot hasn't got an army. Banana Brain's got 40, and Killabot needs to be fighting hard with a handful of Hydras, 1 Sunken, but units are in demand, should build more immediately, and there are more units coming. Killabot is not supply blocked. really ought to fight hard. And fight now. Banana Brain at the minimap, you can see, is taking another base. The Zealots are not in a good position, so they all get killed. But still, Kilobot's only got these 16 Hydras, has got a lot of money, but isn't really getting anything done with that. Transferring some workers, that's good, but still I think that Kilobot is a little bit sluggish in its ZVP and taking a lot of damage to the Overlords again. A couple of Spores might work wonders, but oh, now it's the Corsairs' time to suffer. They get themselves caught in the corner and they all die. So evening up the army supply, but now there are Zealots in the natural again, and all the Hydras were AWOL, so that's a lot of damage to the economy. Now the Hydras return, the Zealots have got someone to play with and are dying in large numbers. So now Kilobot evening the score, but the third base for Banana is up, fourth base is started. And if I'm not very much mistaken, that is a High Templar, and Storm is actually done. So that's very impressive. The Mutas are coming back, but still there are Corsairs, so I don't think that this ZVT build works all that well versus Protoss. Here comes the High Templar, nice Storm, lots of damage to the Hydras, no fourth base yet for Zerg. And although the Mutas are there in force, they are taking way too much damage. Their only chances, if they keep the Corsair numbers down, they ought to fight. And yes, kill. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm totally biased. I love Zerg and I don't really like Protoss. And although Banana Brain is playing a beautiful game, these Mutas, oh, they're really doing the damage. Now the Zealots are back into the natural again. That is not good at all. This base is still mining, but that's a lot of damage done. The Mutas, though, are fighting really hard. Oh, that Corsair had really rather be careful. You could just kill them, but although they have to come back. Oh, there is a Reaver as well, so the Mutas will have to come back. And I think by force of superior macro, Banana Brain is going to win. There's no fourth base yet. The natural is in tatters. There isn't a High Templar with Storm. Killing a safe Reaver, that's good. Killing another one, but you need to save the main, and there is not enough firepower in the world in these Mutas. The Storm gets dodged, the Mutas go after the Zealots, the workers are still alive somewhat, the worker count for Kilobot is precipitously low, the static defenses aren't there, it needs more Sunkens, it needs more Spores, and here come the Corsairs. They're going to find the Mutas, but they're going to take a lot of damage immediately. The Mutas are really on top. How many are there? We've got 14. A cloud of 14 Mutas can do a lot of damage, and the Zerglings have found this new base to consume. And now the Mutas will have to fight. They will not have to take any damage at all. They've just got to kill, keep killing, and earn their keep. Look at the damage they do. Killing another Corsair, that's very good. But Kilobot needs income. It needs workers. And that's a stupid way of killing 20 stack power generators. It doesn't really understand the neutral building stack kind of show. But the Mutas are keeping Kilobot in this game. One died, so that's not good. But still a lot of damage, and they are going to kill again. Now the Corsairs are back in force, but the Mutas, they dash out with their glaive worms, and they're doing so much damage, killing all the workers. Kilobot, though, is completely overrun in the main. It hasn't got an answer to the superior macro, and again the Mutas are coming back, but by the time they will have reached the main, it will be completely hammered into the ground. All the workers have gone, and now Banana Brain is attacking this base over here as well. That's not good at all. The Mutas are doing okay, only 12 left though. And the technology to replenish them is lost, as is the main. Only the last extractor is standing. And although these Mutas are really doing... these things are really taking names at this point. Banana Brain, what's it building? That's the question. It's building a lot of infrastructure. I don't know if it needs that. It really rather wants to buy fighting units. And is it building Corsairs? That's important. It's building a lot of Corsairs. And that's very wise, because the Corsairs it's got are attacking in too small numbers. And, oh, the Muta Ball is growing. The Muta Ball is growing. There is a spire. There is a spire in this base over here. There's even a hive. There is a lot of money. The Muta Cloud is growing. They are doing such a lot of damage. The Muta crowd, oh, whatever floats your party. It's 16 now, it's doing 19, it's doing such a lot of damage. And if only these Corsairs were attacking in force. Kill the Corsair dudes, you're getting 200 damage a shot. But these Mutas are really taking names, good god. How many Corsairs have we got? Only one. Boom! There goes a one-shotted cannon. That is the Muta power for you. We've got one cloud of 25 and it is magnificent. I really thought Banana Brain had this game in the pocket, but obviously the Mutas are too strong, taking down the natural, and Banana Brain really... Oh! These Corsairs, they have got a bad day, and now the production of Banana Brain is going to be attacked. The Muta Cloud is now 30. One-shotting things left, right and center, and there is no way that Banana Brain can put out enough Corsairs to help him deal with that. The Mutas aren't really interested in the Corsair anymore, but once they do, it's going to be one brief swoop and bam, there goes your Corsair. Wow, Killerbot with this base in the bottom right is doing magnificently, and Banana Brain is building way too many Zealots. It doesn't really understand what's going on. There is no other Zerg playing Muta like this, and although there was even only one base left, we've got 36 Mutas in a single stacked group. Of course, the maximum of 12 units in a single control group does not apply to an AI which can just well, take an infinite amount of units. 41 Mutas in a single cloud. It is damage galore. Look at the damage output, and that is the last Stargate. This one Corsair is doing 500 damage a shot probably, but there is just nothing left, and Banana Brain is, well, should try to rebuild. It has got some money, and it has got some buildings over here, but these cannons, and this should just go straight into here. That might have sealed the deal. There is just way too much firepower, but by now the Muta Cloud, there must be 50. Oh, 48, sorry, I was exaggerating, but it will be 50 soon. So, boom goes... Oh, the damage. 49, will we see 50? We'll probably see 50, yes, there it goes. But this Muta ball is so very angry. Bam, goes another cannon. We've now got Killerbot. It's not even maxed, it's not taking more bases. Oh, and here comes the ground army. It's going into the enemy base. Will this be a base trade? If it will be, you'd better raise the Zerg base quickly. This is your... Oh, this is your last pylon. Does Killer know where it is? It looks like it is. The Zealots hit the base. They are attacking it, but that was the game, and in a belated base trade, Killerbot takes the game of Banana Brain. So, thank you for watching this game. And do send me a recommendation. Although I have a two weeks holiday, I will not have time to watch the stream 24/7. Thank you for all the coders, and we'll be back next week with the update of how the round robin is progressing and which bots will make it into the round of 16. Thank you all for watching and listening. For now, I say goodbye.